Record. Howdy, howdy.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
All right, we're getting everybody connected. Sal's still connected to audio there, it looks like. All right, we got all the good people here early. Not that they're bad people if they're late, but you guys get extra credit for being here early. Amanda's happy about that. All right, so who's got some questions to get started with? The early birds, you get the extra attention.
Master Moody, could I ask a question, please, sir?
Go ahead.
We've had a couple of paid in fulls recently on trial enrollment basic program. I'm just wondering how that works then when it comes to the renewal process, what that money goes towards and what are the options available for them, really?
Well, let me ask a couple questions about that as you're saying that. Are you asking for the paid in fulls on the basic program at the point of sale, or is it somebody that's kind of asking to pay in full because they want to do that?
We've done it at the point of sale, just oh, by the way, did you know that you could receive and do it that way, really?
Okay. Just for everybody's clarification, that's not really what I'd recommend normally.
Okay.
I'd rather not do that because it kind of complicates the issue as you then go to the renewal, because then you kind of have to do the math and you get a little bit more pushback. I'd rather get people to pay in full for the renewal rather than at the basic program. So it does complicate it a little bit, but it's still doable. It's still not a big problem. It's just that I'd rather kind of use that bullet at with a renewed program rather than use it at the basic. One way to think about this as you have a certain amount of bullets to use as you're asking for money. So I can ask for money for the basic program, and I can ask for money for the renewal, and then I can ask for money for the paid in full. That's like 3 times. If I ask for money for the basic program, then I ask for them to pay in full. That's 2 times. I'm using my ammunition up. And then I ask for the renewal. Well, now you've asked for money twice already. Now you ask for the renewal. It may lower your renewal rate a little bit. So what we want to do is make sure they renew, because that's going to keep them with us longer. And then later ask them for the pay in full. So just to clarify that for everybody, we prefer that, and the recommendation is to get your paid in fulls on renewals, not on basic programs. But let's answer your question. The way that I prefer to do the applying the credit for a paid in full, which we will get sometimes in the scenario that, if you remember on the price drop, we do say that the range of basic tuition is like, 247 to 297. So that what's that range? Well, the range on the low end is if they paid in full. So we do give them that option if they want to do that, but it's really if they request it, not if we ask. So we don't do the, oh, by the way, we only do it if they request it. Hopefully all that's clear, because I said a lot of stuff there. If it does happen, and for some reason they paid in full, there's a couple of scenarios where that might have happened. What we do is present the renewal the exact same way. And then at that point, we say, well, by the way, you have credit from your basic program of this much, and we're going to apply it to your renewal. So instead of paying this much, you pay this much. In other words, instead of paying, $547 for your leadership program, you're going to pay this much. And we just give them credit off their monthly rate. Now, it's not that much credit, right? Because 547 divided that out, it's only going to drop their monthly payments down to, like 497 or something. It's not going to take a lot off their monthly payments. A lot of people will say at that point, well, gee, I just paid you $2,500 or $3,000 for the basic program. And then we give them an option of applying it to the initial and the first month. So stage one, very simple, is we present the leadership program and then we say, here's your credit you have for the basic program. And you can apply that now to the leadership program, and that would reduce your payment. Very frequently they say, I just paid you guys $3,000. No problem. We can apply that to your initial and your first month. So and you'll be surprised how many people will just say, okay, no problem. We'll apply that to your monthly payment. And now they had paid you $3,000 for their basic, and now their monthly payment for leadership is, instead of $500, is going to be, $497 or whatever it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Can I give him a shorter answer? Since
I-
I've done that a lot over the years, because in our area, Fairfax County, Loudoun County, one of the richest counties in the country. So it was quite frequent that they would ask, do they get a discount if they pay it in full? And I would never turn a paid in full away. So I did get more than normal paid in fulls on a basic program. All I did when I go to renew them exactly the same way. And then I'll say, now we'll take that amount that you paid on your basic program, and we're going to subtract that from the total amount of the price of your leadership program. And then the balance will work out over a payment plan. That's all. We're just going to take that amount that you paid, subtract that from the total amount of the leadership program to give you full credit. And I would give them even the full credit of the first or second month that they paid. In other words, I wouldn't say, well, you've been here 6 weeks, so we're going to take that payment out. No, I'll just take that whole thing that they've paid, and I'll say, in that way, you really haven't even paid for the time you've been here, because we're giving you full credit for that. You follow me?
Yeah, that's really the same thing I said. I do agree with Master Smith.
I'm just saying I was given a shorter answer, that's all.
That's the that's the full credit. But I do agree with Master Smith, give them the full credit, even if they paid 1 month. Or I mean, even if they've used 1 month, because that's a big incentive if they do it now. If they wait, they're going to use the credit though. So sometimes you get the pushback of, well, I'll just wait till we use our basic program, right? That's always the pushback you can get. And you always need an answer. This is really important for everybody to hear on every renewal. If they ever say, well, no problem, I just want to, that sounds really great, but I'll just wait till they're done with the basic program. You always need to have the answer. And the answer needs to be a big financial penalty for waiting. The one financial penalty in this case is, well, yeah, but you would use all the credit from the basic program. We want to apply that to the leadership program.
And my answer to that was always, let me give you 2 reasons why you shouldn't do that. One, you're going to get full credit on your basic program subtracted from that now anyway. Number 2, he gets to start his leadership training right now. He doesn't have to wait a year. And we find that when they start their leadership training right now, they get a big jump start on that level 1 training. So they have 2 advantages. They get to do the leadership training now, and they get the full credit now.
But does that make sense to you, how to handle that? I know we both gave you kind of some different things.
Yes, it does. I mean, we've only had 3, maybe 4 in the last couple of months, but I just didn't want to, like you said, shoot myself in the foot. The more times we ask them for money, the more we, like you said there, the more we could get pushback. So I wanted to make sure we tackled it properly, really. So okay. Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah. And you will get some of those even if you don't ask for it, as Master Smith says. So it's good to make sure that you apply it properly, preemptively, so that you don't get pushed back because they've already paid you some money on the renewal.
And speaking of paid in fulls, I just want to remind everybody about the contest we're having for everybody to get as many paid in fulls as you can this month. Right now, Stephen Del Castillo has done jumped out in the lead, a big lead on everybody. So y'all gonna have to do some hard swimming here to catch up with him, unless he fizzles out. So let's see if he can keep the pressure going on you guys.
What is the Army guy doing right now? How much is he up? The Navy has to come back.
33, sir.
Oh, that's it. Is that it? That's all you got?
No, that's just what it is so far.
No, that's the first week. But beware of Amanda and Jan. They like to hit some big apples there. And Jan's got her secret weapon known as Rachel to help her.
All right, guys, what other things do you guys have questions about? Especially the blitz should be going on. We should be, kicking some butt with that. And after you finished up November, continuing on with that in December. If not,
I kind of have a question, sir.
okay.
I know you like to do your presentation on the first day, and you like to give them a discount, whatever it is. Ours is from 800 to 400. And I noticed when I sort of did like a Black Friday and I said, hey, this is a Cyber Monday special, got this one because of a sense of urgency, but it's not always a Black Friday and a Cyber Monday. And the only thing I really changed was I added an extra uniform besides the 50% discount on the 800 initial deposit, and it was $375, and I gave them a $50 discount, so it went down to $3. I still have some people who would always generally say, I like to think about it, and I just wanted to hear it again, like what you like to do to overcome some of those challenges.
Well, there's nothing about, I think, Sal, your audio kind of broke up. I think what you're saying is, and this is why we don't recommend the car. What I think what you're saying is, how do you also manage somebody saying they want to think about it in terms of the way the offer's presented on the
Yes,
intro?
sir.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you're doing the close on the first day or the second day. What you want to avoid doing is making it sound like it. I don't particularly like having it be a Black Friday deal or a something deal or a something deal or a something deal that you're giving them the $400 off for, because first of all, that sounds really salesy, because that's what they hear all the time with sales. I also don't like calling it today only, whatever, because in a sense that doesn't really make sense. Why is it today only? Why can't you just give me the discount tomorrow? Why can't you do something the next day? So the real easy way to deal with it is they're almost always coming in on some sort of coupon, some sort of, could be a Groupon, it could be free 2 weeks, it could be it's really one of three things. They're either coming in on some prepaid deal, which would be like a Groupon. That could also be they bought a
$59 deal.
Well, they could have bought something at an auction for a school. We always get asked to give auction stuff out at a elementary school or whatever for a raffle or whatever. So they could have prepaid. So they've already paid money. They could have gotten a coupon in a mail package that you sent out for $49 or $47 or whatever the thing is. And it could have been a free offer. Maybe it was something on your website that was 2 weeks free or a week free or a class free or whatever. So there's really multiple options. But whatever it was getting some classes that they brought in for maybe a uniform and whatever. There was some sort of package they brought in. So the simple way to do it in all these cases on an intro is it's this much for the basic program, whatever you had said $800. So it's $800 to get started and $300 a month. What I'd like to do today is trade the value. Now you do have your coupon, that's whatever it was. What I'd like to do today is trade the value of your coupon, whatever it was. And we always write that on the paper so that they can see it, so they know that they're getting some value towards the basic program. So instead of paying $800 in your case, you pay $400 because they're trading the coupon for it. So there's a reason they're getting the discount. They're not just getting it because it's today. They're not just getting it because it's Black Friday. They're not just getting it because you're being a salesperson. They're getting it because they're trading the thing they brought in towards the program. So therefore, that's why they get the savings. And then therefore, if they don't do it today, if they do it later, if they say they want to do it later, you can say really sincerely, well, you can do that if you want, but of course, then you would lose the value of the coupon. You would, if you want to do your 2 weeks free, or you want to do your coupon, or you want to do your $400 coupon, then you would lose the credit that you'd get for trading that in. See, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, that's why they wouldn't get the discount, because they would have used the thing that you're giving them the discount for. So you don't have to say the word discount. You're saying the word trade. Discount sounds salesy, trade doesn't. And so the terminology matters, and the terminology will make a difference when you're in how you come across. So I gave you kind of a long answer so that you understand the reasoning for that difference. So it's not a big sale. It's not a this, it's not a that, it's not a discount. It's going to be simply, you have the thing you brought in, we're trading that in. If you don't want to use it, that's fine, but you wouldn't get the trade value because you're using the thing you brought in. Is that making sense?
Okay, so you're saying, okay, most of these people are coming in for a 2-week deal, right? And you're
let me clarify. Let me stop you there. They could be coming in for anything. They could be coming in with a paid coupon.
Right.
They could be coming in for a $49 coupon. We're going to trade the value of that coupon you got that has some value towards the basic program. So instead of paying $800, you pay $400. And again, that's all scripted out and on videos. We've got those on the Facebook page of how to do the closing with all these scenarios. So instead of paying $800, you pay $400. That saves you $400. We write the word save, $400, and circle it, and then we say, how would you like to pay for it? And if they say, well, no, I'd just rather use the coupon right now, you can, but then you would use up the value, so you wouldn't get the savings. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that. I guess the feedback I would give with the people is, well, I thought I want to try out the 2 weeks first,
You
or
bet.
the week,
And
or whatever it is.
yeah, you can do that if you want. Of course, then it would cost you, at the end of the 2 weeks, you wouldn't get to save the money. Let's do this. Let's get you started. And then you can use the belt guarantee, or that's what the belt guarantee is for. And so remember, with any sale, you need 3 things. Number one, they have to want to do it. So the intro has to be really good. The lesson has to be really good. And that's why the 2-step intro is really nice, because you get them really prepped, and you get the parents in, and you get them to test do their belt thing, and you get them to watch videos in between. The second thing they need all the time is a deal. So the deal has to be, in this case, they save the $400. And if they wait, because they use the group, they use their credit, they use your 2 weeks free, then they don't get to save the money. So there's a penalty for waiting. And the third thing is there needs to be some safety mechanism, and that's what the belt guarantee is for. We have some other guarantee options that, we kind of posted some different ways to do it on the Facebook group. But that's one reason. Well, let's get them started. And at the end of, let's really do it for a couple months, because that's how you're going to really know, not just after 2 weeks. At the end of a couple months, and they get their gold belt. If it's not the best thing you've ever done for your kids in their whole lives, then you just cancel and no questions asked. See, that's a significant guarantee. That's your safety net, so they can make the decision now, and they can do it for a significant amount of time and then move forward.
I think as a feedback to that, a lot of the feedback that I'm getting is, well, let me go talk with my wife or my husband, who's a little bit on the military, or just with my wife. And if they literally, literally,
Everybody says
if
the
their
same thing.
feedback,
Yeah, everybody says the same thing, and that's why you need both parents there. I know what you're
Right.
saying, and that's why you need both parents there, and that's why you need to, if the other parent isn't there, you say we require both parents there. So I get that, but we've already told you the solution for that, Sal.
Yeah.
The solution
And-
for that is both parents are there, and if one of them isn't there and they say, yeah, but I don't need the parent, well, I know what's going to come next, so I'm going to answer before you say it. You're going to say, well, yeah, but they say the parent doesn't need to be there, and I'm going to make all the decisions for them. Well, yeah, I get it. We require both parents to be there. Where are they? And you can zoom them in, and we have a lot of technology that allows them to come in and all that stuff. So, I
Hey,
mean,
sir, I got one
well,
question.
wait, let's make sure Sal is covered on this, because I want to make sure he understands it. Did that cover it, or?
no, I understand that, but it's, in reality, it doesn't work it doesn't work that well. I mean, I try to say that and all that stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, let me go think about it and all that. So I've done it so many times that you can do all of that.
No, I get that part. I get that
And I'm
part.
not being negative.
Okay, so at the beginning when they walk in, but let's just ask this part though. At the beginning when they walk in and they only walk in and there's only one parent, you're saying that the problem is they got to go talk to their other parent, and you don't have both parents there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's part of it. I mean, that's
Okay.
that's like
Okay.
half of the issue in most cases. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask this. When the one parent comes in and they're only by themselves, and you say, oh, well, where's Johnny's dad?
They're
And they say,
divorced.
and they say they're divorced. Okay. So you're in charge. So you ask them, so you're in charge of all the transportation and schedule and all the financial decisions for Johnny then, 100% of them? You ask that question.
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. And we have them sign that on their info sheet. It also says that they initial that they're in charge of all financial, transportation, schedule, responsibilities for Johnny. That may be something you may not do, is have them do that, but that would be something to add. I would.
Hey, sir,
Okay.
is there a copy of that in the group, the intro sheet?
Well, it's not an intro sheet, it's a student information sheet. I don't know if I have a copy of that, one with that phrase.
Yeah. I don't think it actually says that on the back. Like, are you solely responsible for?
It's a separate line. So
Yeah.
you guys should just add that on your line. It's a separate line that
Yeah.
it's not, this is not, so be careful when I say how that gets used. It's not like a disclaimer at the bottom, like if your kid breaks their neck, don't sue us. It's not like that. It's name, address, phone number, initial, all parents. I should get the sheet out, or maybe I'll have Master Sanborn make a copy of it so that you guys can see how it's stated. But initial here to confirm that all caregivers and parents that are responsible for schedule, transportation, and financial decisions are at the lesson today. And then they have to initial it. So it's a separate line item, and we'll get a copy of it and take a picture of it and post it. We print it out from our computer system, so I don't have like a separate Word file for it. And they have to initial that as they come in. Now, that doesn't always solve everything, because they could initial that. You could have what you think are both parents there. They could initial that, and when you get to closing, they could say, oh, but grandma's going to pay for it. I mean, that could happen, but you're trying to limit the number of times that happens.
We used to have that happen to us a lot, and we haven't had that happen at all in the last year and a half since we started doing this. And again, when we tell parents is when we say, okay, we're going to set up the registration. We're going to set up a time for that. We require both parents there. And the reason why, and even if they're divorced, the reason why is because kids act differently with one parent than the other. And I want to find out some of your goals. We're going to make a plan for what we're going to have your family work on. So I need to have both parents, because sometimes, okay, one parent say, well, I want my kid doing this. And the other parent says, well, actually, they're doing just fine with me on that, but they're not doing this. Okay, great. That's why we need both parents. And when we get to the registration, sometimes I get a parent that has a question the other one didn't think to ask. So I need to make sure to go through all this. After that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if one of you comes or whatever, but for this registration, we need both people. And
Yeah,
then let's do a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, I like what you said there, Jason. The only thing I'd replace on what you said there is instead of sometimes one parent this and that, I would say 100% of the time, one parent will have a different reaction than the other. I would say 100%, because whenever you say 100%, they always agree.
Yep.
100%. But what Jason did there that everybody should pay attention to is he took it seriously, what Master Oliver is always trying to say, which I think is what Master Oliver is going to say right now. He took it seriously that both parents are going to be there. You could say what Jason said, or you could say it in another way that you want to say differently. But the key here is take it really seriously, that both parents better damn well be there. That's the key.
Yep.
And just take it seriously. And I know you guys are, and I know, but like, make it a big deal. And that will solve a lot of these think about it things. The structure of it.
Be there on the next time, then find out when they can be there and schedule that class. Now, I've done it where I scheduled them for the second lesson. The father couldn't be there, but he could be there on the third lesson. So I didn't want to have too much time between the first and the second. So I go ahead and do the second with the understanding that we're not going to go over their evaluation on the second lesson, but when the father comes in on the third.
Yeah, I think the simplest answer is just get really good at saying, we require.
Yeah, that's right.
We require both parents to be here, to do the evaluation for the enrollment of a child.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the best, and write that word down, require. That's the real, that makes it a little more of a definite. It's not maybe, or we need sometimes, and usually. No,
we'd like to. No, it'd be nice if
came in last night a little upset because of that, but he did sign him up.
Okay.
But he came in first saying, well, yeah, I had to be here. I mean, they told me that you had to have me. But then he said no, and then afterwards he
we started doing it.
He got to the irrelevant conference, and then he.
And there's no apology for requiring. There's a good reason to require both parents there.
That's a validation.
What we got to get out of the idea of is that we hope that they're going to give us money. We got to get it out in the idea of that we're professionals doing a really valuable service for them. So we have requirements, and we're martial artists, and we're strong and capable, and we have requirements by which they need to follow.
Yeah.
And better to start that on day one.
Yeah.
Gustavo, what were you about to say there?
What I was going to say is we had this conversation about a month ago, Master Smith, and I started doing exactly as you said, and it made all the difference. We went from doing single digit enrollments that we broke the double digits. We did 15. It wasn't the 20 I wanted, but the closing ratio was much better because we just said, okay, we're going to give, if they showed up without the second parent, we just found out what happened. And then again, we said, unfortunately, we cannot complete his evaluation without both parents present. So when's a good day for dad to be here, or vice versa. And it made all the difference.
I like to throw in that word, no problem. Let's just make sure dad can be here the next time. Next class that dad can make it is when, and then you give them a couple options and then say, okay, we'll go over the evaluation then, and no problem. So
Right.
They won't feel like we.
One other thing we did, as per your suggestions, we stopped showing the schedule and just saying, I have a class tomorrow or the next day until, they said that both parents could be there.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
But everybody just use that word that Master Oliver just said, not maybe, not need, not we'd like, but require. Just put that require word. Everybody write that down. That's
right. That's absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, the way you can screw it up is you say to mom, "We require your husband to be here." Right? Don't ever say that. Right?
Yeah, that's a Johnny's dad.
Yeah, we require, well, I mean, even that, we require both parents and anybody responsible for
transportation.
finances or transportation to be here. You know, because you'll get some moms who think that you're not willing to deal with a little woman, you have to have, you know, her husband there. And that's, of course, not what we're saying, because it'd be even worse most of the time to have dad there and not have mom, right? Because he's going to go run everything by her in almost all cases as well. So, you know, you just want to have, we require both parents to be here for, or anybody involved in finances, transportations, to do the evaluation and, you know, for the enrollment of a child.
Gentlemen, I have an opportunity I'd like to maybe see if anybody's got any advice on. So I've had a couple students come in. I'm not students. I'm already claiming them as students. I had a couple people recently contacting me because their school's going out of business. And I think like Friday is the last day. So I'm planning to go over there and try to visit and see if I can, you know, figure out who the people were and all that. I already did ask one that showed up for a first intro last night, verified that the instructors were indeed the owners and they're moving to Orlando. So there's no opportunity there. I was thinking about maybe even acquiring some, you know, an instructor in the thing or whatever, but there's obviously some kind of opportunity with the students. I've already had 2 or 3 contact me. So, but I thought before I go over, I'd see if any of you had any specific advice or guidance for me.
Yeah, I mean, I have done a number of deals where I have made the effort to acquire, merge schools, one thing or another. Master Moody, Master Smith, I'm not sure if you've had many of these be successful or not. I will tell you that, you know, the downsides always are, one is they were probably running the school poorly, meaning that they had a really low price point, they had a stupid program structure. I don't know if their curriculum is anywhere close to what you're doing, right? So you do start with all the same problems of, you know, you get anybody who walked in the door who was a green belt down the street, and now they want to enroll with you, is they've usually been pre-framed poorly. One of the deals that we did, you know, they had a 90 or, you know, 95 students or something like that. And we basically did a deal with them where we just acquired the entire student base. Now, in this case, it sounds like they've already announced that they're closing, and probably they've already canceled everybody's contract if they had one. So, but, you know, it's no skin off their nose for you two to have a conversation and to, you know, provide a home for their student body, find out how good a list they have, and find out what the structure is. One of the deals I tried to do, and I've tried to do it both ways, I've tried to give a school students, and I've tried to acquire, you know, a school that was shutting down a bunch of times over the years. But I tried to do a deal where, you know, how much is your monthly billing coming in? What agreements are they on? You know, why don't I give you 25% of the gross just to facilitate moving them over? And then, you know, once they're over here, we'll just, you know, integrate them into our regular student body. I do find, truthfully, Stephen, most martial artists have such big egos and such low capability to understand simple business ideas that in almost all cases it's difficult to get them to see the wisdom of facilitating that, right? Especially, you know, in this case, they're moving to a different area of Florida. But a lot of times they're pissed off. Sometimes they're pissed off at you that they didn't succeed because you're you're the evil competitor, which of course makes no sense whatsoever. So it is kind of hard to get those things to ever come together.
So we're having the same thing happen. There's a kickboxing school that's going out of business. And we've got one of the students, adult student, who goes there and he does our classes. Then he does this cardio fitness class. And he came to me yesterday. He's like, you guys should do the cardio fitness classes that they do. And I didn't say it, but I was like, oh, you want me to do the thing that's put them out of business and ignore how we have been growing and literally expanding and had the best month ever? Sure. I didn't say that. I was like, oh, thank you. Okay, I appreciate that. But one of my other students did send me an email that this guy sent saying that he's got punch cards. And so what you just said there is maybe I should email that guy and say, hey, if you don't want to, he said he'll give refunds for anybody. I
Yeah.
might say, hey, don't give refunds. Tell them they can come over and use that punch card, the last punch card, and then that's the coupon discount that we can give them if they sign up or whatever, right?
But they're doing just purely cardio kickboxing, or do they have a
No,
regular?
they're doing karate classes for kids, and that's what I want to try to poach is get the kids from that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, it never hurts to take them to lunch and have a conversation about what's going on. And, I've had a lot of conversations over the years with, what are you trying to accomplish? What's going on? Well, I just can't, I can't make money doing this. I'm going to go to work for the bank or whatever. Well, okay. I mean, if you ever decide you do want to turn this into a career, I'd be happy to talk to you, and we can give you a path forward if you'd like. But, what are you thinking about with your current students? And, maybe you end up with something that's productive. And I don't mind giving them, I've made, tried to, I can't say it's ever been particularly successful. One of them, we took over a completely operating school that had a student body in place. And frankly, by the end of the first year, there was probably 5 of them left. It was too much of a culture shift for them. But, sometimes you can end up with something where they come and help facilitate people moving over. Maybe they spend, 30 days or 90 days transitioning, and you give them some money to facilitate that. Some of the deals I've tried to work out with people, they would have been making more money by closing the school and giving the student body to me than they would have been, trying to run the school. But I've rarely been able to get them to be objective about the situation. And of course, in my case, they all kind of viewed me as Darth Vader, the competition. So, the higher profile you are, the more likely they are to have a predisposition. Is that a fair thing to say, Master Smith?
I tell you, I did that exact same thing one time, Stephen. The way that I facilitated it was he had about 100 active students, and what I told him is that I would give all of his students a free month at our school, and that anybody who wanted to start with our school, and continue with our school, then we would honor their rank that they were at. Now, he was teaching our same system, and the students weren't too bad. And we just honored their same rank and then put them on one of our programs. And then we gave him, to facilitate it, to recommend them and to encourage them to come to our school, we gave him the first month's tuition of everybody who signed a contract. And I did use that verbiage with him, contract, and not an agreement or any of that, because I wanted it a little bit more
Clarity.
Solid, that if they sign the contract, and I would waive with his students, I would waive the down payment that they normally have to pay, that initial, and they would just be paying the first month's tuition, and I would pass that on to him. And we ended up with, out of the 100, about 30 of them that actually signed a contract. So he made out on it, we made out on it, and they ended up, most of them pretty good students.
Yeah.
And he was happy because at least he gave his students an option to continue training if they wanted to with an accredited school that he recommended. And I even had him come and help out a few days so they could see that he was friendly with us and everything, because that helped him get more people signed up, which got him more money. So it was a win-win. But I didn't have to commit to anything and just give him money for people that were coming over without them paying anything, and signing a new contract.
Yeah, and that's the, that's kind of the main issue is usually without them really being helpful and facilitating, usually it doesn't get very far. However, the more that you get it where there's a smooth transition. But again, Stephen, I think, oftentimes a big advantage is you take them to lunch and you build a little bit of a relationship, and you know, if there was any resentment before, you can kind of get that to go away, and you know, make sure all of that, and then at least if their students ask, you know, where should I go, they're more likely to point at you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah. I hear a lot of people over the years talk about trying to poach students from other schools, or talk about how bad the schools are in their area, and they're going to try to, you know, poach people. I've always found that just to be a stupid idea. If number one, the people at the school down the street who are complaining about their instructor, in almost all cases, are the same ones that'll complain about you. So the ones that'll be disloyal to them will be disloyal to you. Number two is they've almost always been pre-framed poorly, right? Matt Smith, in the case that you're talking about, and I remember that one, is that's about as close as you get to somebody who was operating things the right way, and they were, you know, had a more or less common pricing, program structure, et cetera. But I mean, usually, I mean, somebody who's already doing punch cards, getting somebody to go from I'm buying 10 classes at once to we're enrolling for a year and then 3 years, and to go from, you know, we're paying $89 a month to we're going to pay, you know, $297 a month. All of those are big stretches. Matt Smith, I had several that came from John and Pat School in Minnesota, and even then, what we were doing was such a big stretch, pricing wise, program wise, et cetera, from what they were used to. It was really a challenge.
Yeah, culture wise too.
Yep, exactly. But again, you know, it's worth having the conversation.
And sometimes it helps the guy out, you know, I mean, just even to have a good conversation, help him out. You'd be surprised how many people were negative and jerks, and they just, because they thought they needed to be that way. And then after you have a conversation with them, sometimes it's a pretty positive experience.
Yeah.
It's also the transition. When we acquired Hicksville, John Godwin coached me, you know, because he's done several acquisitions, and you know, originally the master was supposed to stay for 3 months as we transitioned out, and I sent my son Matthew, who you all know, and he was just such a big culture shock because it was very low key there, and Matthew comes and he's very animated and whatever. And, you know, almost instantly they didn't like him because he was actually making the kids work, you know, and it was a, you know, for lack of better words, a fluffy school before we got there. And whatchamacallit, but it paid off in the end. We, you know, the school was averaging $20,000 a month. After the first year, we were averaging $40,000 a month, you know, so, and then, you know, if it wasn't for COVID, we'd be looking pretty good right now, but you know, now we're on the comeback trail. But whatchamacallit, the one problem with that transition, the master couldn't get out of his own way. And, you know, finally, after about a month, I said, hey, you know what, I think we're good. I think the transition is going well. Thank you very much. And I sent him on his way because we had already transacted and the monies had already exchanged. He was just helping out.
Yeah, and oftentimes the sooner the better.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, yeah. And again, I mean, it's not that they have ill intent. It's just that, you know, if you're doing things the right way, the way that they've been doing things are often such contradiction. And
no,
or
I mean, he had great intentions. It just wasn't working out. You know, he was like literally stopping Matthew from teaching class and interrupting him, and you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's not productive, obviously.
Yeah.
Master Oliver,
Yeah.
if we finish that, I wanted to talk a few minutes about the renewal blitz that's going on. I was just at one of our members' schools this past weekend, and he was in full-blown renewal blitz mode, but he was missing a few things. Now he was getting renewals, and he got one when I was there, and that paid in full, and then some other issues that were good. But one of the things he was missing is the verbiage is don't ever, and he didn't say this, but he had some different words than the ones that I like. I like to say that this is black belt goal setting season. And don't use any other words, black belt commitment or dedication or our goal. It's black belt goal setting season. The other thing that he missed that I think probably some of our other members are missing is that this is not black belt goal setting season for just our basic students. This is for everybody, including your instructors, including yourself. You should have all of your staff do a vision board. He had vision boards on the wall. I told him I want everybody in the school to do a vision board. And he goes, well, where are we going to put all these? And I said, hang them from the ceiling. And just like when a lot of our members got to go out to Thornton and saw how they were hanging them from the ceiling. And it's very powerful when you let everybody know that just setting your goal for black belt 4 years from now, or second degree 6 years from now, doesn't mean you're going to make it unless you rededicate yourself and recommit to your goals every year. And your goals that you have this year and what they look like, the vision of them is different than last year because you've gotten closer to that goal. And now you can maybe see a little farther. So maybe last year your goal was first degree and now maybe it's second degree, or if it was second degree last year, maybe it's third degree this year. Your instructors or black belts that are doing it, they say, oh, are we supposed to do that too? I said, well, aren't you going to continue your training? Don't you have goals to get to a higher level? Well, yeah, well, what level? Well, what do you mean? Well, you're a third now. Do you want to be a fifth? Do you want to be a fourth? Do you want to be a sixth? What is your goal? And what does that vision look like? Put your board together and commit it to a date. I saw some of the boards didn't have a date on them for your goal. And I said, and I was telling the students, we were talking about make sure you do your vision board and put what you're going to be like and make sure you commit it to a date, because anytime you set a goal and then you don't commit it to a date, then it's just a wish. But you have to have that goal date to complete that. Otherwise, it's going to take you the rest of your life to get that goal. So always, we're going to set a goal, but we've got to commit it to a date. So just remember, this is black belt goal setting season. Now, if you didn't get October or November a kickoff on this, maybe you kicked it off in November. I know some people were kicking it off late in November. It doesn't have to be just November and December. If you didn't get 2 full months of renewal blitzing, then do December and January. I always use January as my follow-up month anyway, but do make sure that you're getting everybody in. One of the things I did on the vision sheet, I give that to everybody to do for the basic students, but for the advanced and the ones that are already in leadership, they went straight to the vision board. But for the basic students, I have them do the vision sheet first. They get a single stripe for that. And then I give them the assignment of the vision board and set them up for their first trial class. And they get a 5-stripe bonus for that one. And so that got them a little more reward for doing a bigger project at home also. So remember, black belt goal setting season, and it should be talked about in every single class, not just basic class, and use that black belt verbiage. Have those signs all around the school, talk about them. When people turn them in, you present them that 5-stripe bonus in front of everybody, and then you make a big deal about his vision board, and the students will say a few words about their board, and so we get a nice spotlighting going. Everybody see what I'm talking about now when we're trying to make this really a black belt goal setting season? So those signs are everywhere.
Grandmaster?
Yes, sir.
So quick question. Normally at testings, when we announce who got the leadership application. So last month I signed up 10 out of 10 people for leadership. Now I've got the B's and the C's left. So would I just give them a leadership application? Because normally we do it, a testing, or so-and-so's, here's his belt and here's his leadership application. Everyone clap for him. So how would I give it to my B and C students now, the application?
I don't give them the application until I've given them the invitation. And I don't give the invitation until I get a vision sheet
Well, I got them.
and a vision board. Well, the vision sheet is what they need to get the invitation.
Okay,
Once the vision sheet comes in, then we talk it over with the instructors and staff to find out that this is a good fit. This is somebody we want in our leadership program. And if it is, then I'm going to give him the invitation in front of the whole class the next time they come to class. I don't do it on the same day that they turn the vision sheet in, because I want them to know that there is a qualifying process that we're going to talk it over. And then the next class they come to, I'll give them that invitation and then set up that first class and then give them that goal setting sheet for homework, and then give them the homework of the vision board.
can I give everybody a tip too?
The basic students, remember, all of my level 1, 2, and 3 that are in black belts that are already have that assignment to do their vision board. But for my basic students, I just give them the assignment of the vision sheet. And once they turn that in, then I do the vision board. Okay.
I've been using a 2-inch ribbon, hang everything with a staple gun. It sticks the ceiling tile a lot easier than trying to put it through the cracks of the ceiling tile.
I like it. Yeah, that's a good idea.
And if I
A question, sir. Good.
Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, quick question. So I know how important verbiage is for everything that we're doing, right? And the messages that we want to express to the students and the families. We have been using black belt commitment season, as our verbiage for like the past two.
It's not a biggie. It's not a biggie.
Okay. I figured, we've been using it very much in the same way as goal setting. Our phrase for last week was black belt commitment. And then the phrase of the week was, motivation gets us started. Commitment is what keeps us going. So we're really trying hard to get those words in there and allow that to be something that our kids are thinking of.
Yeah, and commitment is, even if you say it's black belt, a commitment season, and that means you're setting your goals to black belt and beyond, so then you kind of clarify that. So it's not just a commitment, but it's a goal and a deadline to make that goal. And that's going to be your commitment to your training and dedication.
Sure.
Yeah,
okay. I just wanted to ask, I know that, with everything that we say, there is a message behind it. So I wanted to make sure that you guys thought the message was still coming across clear enough.
Well, let me throw something in there, is that what I don't want to do is I don't want it to feel like the decision for them to be accepted to train to black belt is theirs as opposed to yours.
Sir.
And so again, that comes back to the takeaway idea, right? And think of it as a child applying to get into Harvard or get into West Point, right? So you want to build it where they're interviewing with you, they're being approved by the instructors, they're jumping through hoops to get accepted, not that you're asking them to make a decision.
Sure.
Right? Now, I know it's a fine line, because there is a transition of here's the process for you to set the goal, and here's the vision board of you doing that. But you want the language all the way from the point of enrollment through to be, you'll approve them and see if they're qualified to train to black belt and beyond, and if so, you'll approve them to be admitted. And you really want it to feel like the point at which you approve them, that's the time that they are moved into the program.
Sir.
Right. I see way too many times in sales, it's kind of like we're begging them to make a decision rather than we're providing an opportunity, and then giving them approval to move forward with that opportunity, if that makes sense.
Sir. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And make sure that you're also in the classes utilizing those people in your basic class that have already signed up for leadership, where you're putting them on a pedestal. I'll spotlight them, I'll catch them doing something good, and then I'll say, now you see, not only is Tom training like a black belt, now he's already made his commitment. He's already set his goal to black belt and beyond. That's why he has the red top or the blue top or whatever color uniform you have. Let's give him a big hand, blah, blah, blah. I'll also bring them up and let them warm up the class, do one of the warm up things and be the leader in the class. If I don't have my trainees, in a normal scenario, I would have my instructor trainees who are helping out in the basic class, who are in level 1 or 2. And then I'm doing the same thing with those people that not only are they in leadership, but they have been, they are also in our instructor certification program. And to be in that, you have to be in leadership. And now they're learning how to not just be a leader, but they have set their goal. When they get their black belt, they'll be certified as an assistant instructor. And I mean, those are the things you've got to make very clear of why they're there helping out and what is their purpose. And then make sure you're utilizing those trainees in the class enough. You know, I notice every time I go to some of our schools, I notice that the instructor trainees tend to be look a little lost in the class. Some of them are pretty good at having them sign the cards and sign the character sheets and get the stripes ready on the character sheets, which is what you should be doing. But then when they finish that, they tend to wander around, rather than what I try to do in the basic class is make sure that those instructor trainees I assign to some of those intros that are in that basic class, so they don't get lost. They have somebody there close by to help make sure that they're facing the right direction, they're doing the right kick. I don't want them to do finer detail corrections, but if they're kicking with the wrong leg, or they're doing the wrong kick, or they're punching with the wrong hand, or they're doing the wrong technique, I want them to correct them, because your parents are watching that and they're trying to decide whether they're going to continue in your school. And if you have these trainees right there, right beside them, and sometimes depending on how many trainees you have, I might put that trainee to watch 2 or 3 kids in that are all within an arm's reach apart, not one on this side and one on the other side. So grouping the class becomes very important too in that basic class, to make sure that I have that, what I call newer white belts or intros. I want to make sure that I can go a little slower with that group. And if I'm teaching one big class, I hate to see one basic class with one instructor. I want to see that class divided at least in 2 groups, and one can be a little more advanced and the other one is more basic. And I can go a little slower with that group because they've got intros in it and people that have only been there for a few weeks or a month. And the other side are the people that are getting ready to test. And so they're going to need to go a little faster. So we might warm up all together, but then I'll split them up and I'll put one of my assistant instructors with that group. And I have to have my main instructor decide who's taking what group. If I go out to the class and I see that my main instructor is teaching all the class, and there's a paid instructor also, could be an assistant instructor who's just kind of walking around, I get very pissed off. I go, hey, how come we haven't divided this out? And I don't care if there's 20 people, 40 people, 10 people. It makes it look like when you divide it out, it's a smaller group with their main instructor. And if you don't do it like that, then you're gonna waste these other people that are helping in the classroom. So you've got to learn how to utilize those trainees are like fingers, and your paid assistant instructor is like an arm. And I want to have at least 2 arms out in that classroom and make sure that one's taking that group and one's taking that group. But I have to have one person in charge, and that's who I'm designated as my main instructor.
Yeah, and maybe Matt Smith on the from a classroom structure and you know, Sal had suggested, and we're working it into the schedule next week to do a real intensive instructor training, floor management, one thing or another. But when it comes to right now, and where we're at December 7th, and if you're trying to do a renewal blitz, what I see happen more often than not is you just don't get around to talking to enough people, right? So if I have 50 people or 100 people, I have to recognize some of them I'm going to talk to once. They're an A+ student. I've got both parents there, and I'm good to go on one conversation. Others, it takes 3, 4, 5 conversations, and I have to talk to mom, and then I have to talk to dad, and I schedule a time with both parents, and then they reschedule 3 times. And so if I don't go full on and make sure I have appointments scheduled with everybody like right now, then what happens is you run into the holidays, and most of them haven't even gotten a chance for you to sit down and really try to close them. And again, if you're properly going through A+A, B+B with all the students, but you're doing that with the parents, we don't want to end up with 2 or 3 weeks where you just pull all the A+ and get them renewed and don't get anybody else. So as they kind of move down the cycle, you have even more prep time and spotlighting and working with them on the floor to get them there. And to reemphasize what you just said, Master Smith, maybe in a different way, is the class that needs the most hand-holding is that basic class. And the basic class is frankly the one where it's most difficult from a business standpoint, because in most cases we're doing enrollments in that class. We have people in their first 8 lessons that we're trying to get started smoothly, and then we have all of our renewal prospects in that class. And if you don't have all of your support people there and prepped, you have a problem. But number 2 is, if your staff really hasn't prepped ahead of that class, they know who they're targeting, who they're pulling out, what they're trying to do, who they have conferences with, who they have appointments with, an hour comes and goes quickly. And if you blow that class, you, in many cases, that kind of blew the night, right? So, and I know some of us have 2 classes a day or something that fit that category. But I've seen my staff before get, Ms. Jones once pulls them in the office and wants to talk to them about how upset she is about blank, 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 whatever it is. And all of a sudden the class is done, and they've been distracted on something that could have been handled at 10 a.m. the next day. And get distracted from, I need to talk to this parent and need to schedule an appointment for this person, and I had this person who's on their 3rd class, and I need to prep. They miss all of that stuff by getting distracted.
And you said it right. When it comes to the basic class, we always had the slogan, all hands on deck. We want everybody. We want as many trainees in that class helping as possible. I'm going to make sure that I staff up. I have some instructors that are paid instructors that only come in for the basic class, because that's where we need all that extra help to make sure that we're giving them the attention they need, because there's 2 important things going on in that basic class that if that class is not orchestrated, and I don't mean just taught, but I mean the head instructor has to be the orchestrator and make sure that he's assigning each instructor and he's watching what that instructor is teaching, how he's spotlighting his people, because one of your assistant instructors can screw up what I call your emotional bank account. Every time you spotlight somebody and do something good, you're building up this bank account of emotional commitment and rapport. And it only takes one of your assistants to do something stupid and screw that whole thing up. So it's important to have that orchestrated out to where when I warm them up, you know, and I go to a lot of schools and I see that the warm-ups is a waste of time because it looks like a PE class. All the warm-ups they're doing, okay, everybody, 50 jumping jacks, go. Okay, 20 push-ups, go. See, that is not how you run a class. You have to make sure every warm-up you do is a martial arts warm-up. So instead of jumping jacks, we do punching jacks. When you do a push-up, you come up and do a punch. When you do a setup, you come up and do 2 punches. In other words, make every one of those tie into a martial arts exercise. And by all means, make them engage. I hear them say, okay, give me 20, go. And they're not even counting out in unison. You know, I want it to look orchestrated so they're all counting 1, sir, 2, sir, 3.
Well, you want to
And
look
now-
like the opening scene on the island in Enter the Dragon.
Absolutely, because if it looks
With all the
all
drunk extras in wet uniforms.
and I see the instructors while they're doing their warm-ups, they're walking around and maybe they're doing ID cards or signing sheets or something that needs to be done, but not by the ones who are supposed to be running the class. So that's what I mean by your head instructor, whoever's in charge of that class. You cannot have 3 people in charge. Whoever is the senior instructor, and that means full-time takes precedence over part-time, even if one's a higher rank. My full-time instructor, and if I have 2 full-time there, the one that has the most seniority teaching is the one that's in charge of the class. He's the one that divides it up. He's the one that decides what we're going to be training on today. He's the ones that what warm-ups we do. Now, he can assign one of his assistant instructors to do the warm-ups and tell him what to do, as long as he's doing them the way the head instructor wants them done, which means that everybody's counting together. And if they're counting and I can't hear them, I say, okay, everybody stop. Let's start over. If I can't hear you, I said, I want you counting loud because I want to hear what kind of condition you're in. If you're having trouble breathing and you're not being able to project a loud count, I know that your conditioning is hurting. I want to hear you be able to give that loud count while you're doing it without getting out of breath. And let's try it again. Stay together. And now they're 1 and now their numbers are all messed up. And then I say, okay, everybody stop. If we can't stay together, we're going to keep doing these till we get them. See, you got to make that class look organized, make it look orchestrated. Then your new parents coming in go like, wow, they really know how to teach the students here. It doesn't look like it's all out. And don't have your lines all mismatched and they're running into each other. It looks so stupid.
Yeah, Matt Smith, we're running out of time here. I would just emphasize right now, you really need to sit down with a list. You need to ABC the kids, you need to ABC the parents, and you need, if you don't have it already, you need an appointment with everybody on the list. And you need an appointment with everybody on the list within the next 48 hours, because some of them are going to take 3 appointments, some of them are going to take 5 appointments, some of them are going to take 10 appointments. And if you're having a low conversion rate, the first place to look at is personal touches with each individual and the overall ambience of the school. And that's what Matt Smith is talking about, is of the floor management, the ambience of the school. Is if it feels like you're disorganized, they're not going to want to commit to this long term. And if they feel like you don't know their name and don't even, or you're kind of starting from scratch every time, they're not going to want to commit to the school. So it's personal relationships and the structure are the 2 most important things to look at if you're not getting good closing ratios. And in all likelihood, most of you are going to run up into most of the ones that could have been renewed you didn't even get around to talking to before Christmas. That's what I find. So you need the list. You need somebody in charge of making sure that there's an appointment with everybody in the list, whether they're an A+ or a B-. And again, I always recommend start with the easy ones and work your way down the list. Don't start with the hard ones, right? So, knock out all the A+ and the A's, and then go to the B+ and the B's, and then work your way down the list. And that also gives you a little bit of time to prep. But frankly, the closer you get to Christmas, and it's not far out, believe it or not, the closer you get with Christmas, the more that people give you the excuse to blow you off. So to me, you really have about a week and a half to blitz this out. Because once you start getting past the 17th or 18th, an awful lot of them are going to just blow you off until after the holidays.
You got the Christmas week is Monday is the 20th. So that last Saturday is the 18th. So that week of Christmas, a lot of people get, into shopping or wrapping or
leave town
stuff and going to visit relatives or whatever. So you've got basically the rest of this week and next week really to do your major damage.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you haven't traveled much recently, regardless of how coward some people are under their desk on this COVID stuff, is the airports are just jammed. The planes are just jammed. So, more people probably than the last 2 or 3 years are going to be, leaving town for a couple of weeks. So you got to get to them quickly. And by the way, Rachel, we're making a valiant effort to do spring in Florida. What we're finding is every remote wedding ever scheduled anywhere is moving to Florida. The free state of Florida. And anybody who ever had a convention in New York, New Jersey, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, or Portland have moved it to the free state of Florida. The amount of revenue that blue states are losing to Florida right now is got to be into the billions. So it's kind of a challenge. We're looking right now at San Diego and at Scottsdale as backup. So staying with
Yay, San Diego.
San Diego's beautiful. It's too bad San Diego's in the state of California.
Well, look at it. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, I do have a question with all that renewal blitz, sir. Excuse me. I'm having a Christmas party, thank you, with the whole group from both Chula Vista and San Diego. And so we're probably going to get like 100 to about 150 people there. I didn't want to mix business with pleasure, but I didn't know how to do that and just say, hey guys, today is the 18th. We close on the 23rd. What can we do, to have you guys sign up for the extra 30% or 20%, whatever it is?
I would make the 18th the drop dead date for doing the current renewal rates.
Okay.
And then what you do is you just structure it so that people who wait to the last minute are begging you to still give you a check on the 18th. The staff can on the 17th be calling through people and showing up at their houses, or saying, if you're making it to a Christmas party, we can have everything waiting for you then, and just make that the final date. I've had days where I did 65,000 cash on that last day with people begging to still get in under the wire.
So mention it during the party?
Well, no.
Don't make a general announcement, but I always, at our parties like that, I had a list of people that I needed a final answer on that I hadn't heard back from. And I would just casually go up to them and say, did you decide about your leadership training today?
And frankly, I would say neither one of those is what I was saying. I was saying the 18th is the drop dead date. And if you wait till the 19th, it's going to be an extra $5,000. And then what you have is you have a blitz through by email and by phone and everything else with everybody on the 16th and 17th. And the 18th is the drop dead date. And can you make it to class? No, I can't make it to class. Okay. You know, what time are you going to be around? Well, we are coming to the Christmas party. Okay. And then you just blitz through everybody who's RSVP'd for the Christmas party who is not renewed and say, remember, today's the drop dead, and you can stop by the school or we can finalize at the Christmas party if you're going to be there. But either way, we need to get it done today. And then do what Master Smith said is, you know, tap them all on the shoulder and pull them aside and finalize. But if you don't have them, you know, an event like that, it's
not the time to sell them. It's too
well,
late.
yeah.
That's the time to close them.
You should have done that before, though. That's the big thing. That's all done.
Everything should have already been discussed, and then you just need a final, maybe a credit card or whatever.
Yeah. See, to us, that last day is, you know, I sent the instructor by their house to catch them before they left for the airport, and picked up a $35,000 check. Right. They gave me they're on the cell phone on the way to the airport, and they gave me a credit card that we processed and docu-signed them the paperwork. Right. I mean, it's all of those types of scenarios where, I mean, we've had people who dropped a check off in an envelope at the in the mail slot in the door, which I prefer not to be that way, and people who at the intramural or the party or whatever it is on that date. That's the date that they're bringing in, and they're giving you the credit card, and you're, and by the way, have the ability to process the credit card at the party. So whether that's on your iPhone or being able to log into authorize.net or whatever it might be, Pay Simple can do that easily. But make sure you can process that stuff there too.
Did everybody hear that it's okay to like drive over to their house and pick the check up for $30,000?
Yeah.
I still remember when I don't if it was Amanda Christensen or it was Alan and Kelly Olga that picked up the check on the way to the airport when they were flying to Annapolis for training. I think
that was Alan and Kelly.
Yeah, that was 2019.
Yeah,
before the pandemic, when we were in Annapolis, and they had a check for, I don't know, it was 35 or 36,000.
Yeah, but I mean, it's fine to drive to their house and pick up the check. It's fine to get the credit card on the phone. You want to get paperwork signed with that, for sure. But it's fine to schedule a time to meet him at Starbucks or wherever at 10:30 in the morning. It's fine to, show up, at the dad's office and have mom meet you there because he's working 15-hour days, but you can get some time at their conference room, whatever it takes to get mom and dad together and to get in front of them and to finalize. My only warning is you need an appointment with everybody scheduled today, in the next 48 hours, because you're going to run out of time if you have more than 15 or 20 people to talk to, and you have to hustle on that. And don't give yourself any excuses. If your floor hasn't been perfect and you haven't done everything that Master Smith said, I don't care at this point. We're going to get that fixed in January. What I want to do is I want to make sure they're prepped, and I want to sit down and get the renewal finalized before the end of the year, because it's one less reason why they might drop out over the holidays and not be back in January. And it's a great way to finish off the month with strong cash flow. Hey, Ken, I got to ask you, I'm curious, where are you sitting out there? You looks like you're in a party tent or something.
Yeah, pretty much. I just have
outside his school.
a tent up in one wall and a heater.
He's got the outdoor cafe,
is that for classes, or are you at a cafe?
No, it's right behind my classes are inside there. I'm just in the back. It's a nice little private outdoor area, but it's a little on the chilly side today.
I got you. Are you having a countdown like New Year's for when de Blasio is officially kicked out of office?
No, I don't care. I don't pay attention.
Yep. I think he's on the 15-day countdown or something like that.
I was going to share two good things that happened to me. So if you remember, I posted a while back that we had 61 straight students sign up.
Yeah.
That number is actually 71, because yesterday, one of the person that said no, and they were going to, well, they didn't say no, but they said they're going to go home and think about it. They came in yesterday and they handed me a card. They signed up. So I got 10 more students after that had said yes. And then November was the best month we've ever done, period. So before.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Well, and again, like, so in January, again, we had basically, we'd shut things down. We knew that we could turn the faucet back on when we needed to. We were getting help from, PPP loans and all that stuff. So January, again, we were down to 60 students, 15,000 a month. November, we made 57,000. We are now at 203 students. So
Excellent.
We gained a ton. And it's because of this group. It's because of the help that you guys have given us. We knew that we could turn it back on, and we did, and it's been awesome. So yeah, thank you.
Amazing. Keep rocking. So
Jason's back.
yeah, and obviously 2022 is your record year with a at least a 50% bump from
Yes,
for the previous record.
absolutely.
Okay. Okay. On that note, thanks everybody. As a reminder, we won't be getting together the 18th through January 1st, and we are back on again on January 4th.
Hey, sir, can I add one more good news for everybody that they don't know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm probably gonna get like $100,000 to $150,000 from the employee retention program, and I don't know if a lot of you guys know about it, but my payroll company, you pay them like $1,000 every quarter, and they look at to see, where you lost money during COVID and when you were shut down and stuff like that. So I would recommend you guys look to your payroll company. It's called the Employee Retention Program. This is bigger than my PPP loan that we got. I mean, he was saying at least $100,000 that I would get back.
And you post that on the Facebook page, Sal?
Employee Retention Program. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Put it.
Is that a loan or a tax credit or what?
No, it's I guess the government writes you a check because of your business has been greatly impacted by the pandemic, and there's no money to pay back. You could use it for whatever you want. It's like a check written out to U.S. Karate Academy.
Yeah,
And
it's to compensate you for paying employees during the time that the government showed you or shut you
Right.
down or kept you from getting income.
Yeah.
right, and
You have to
so
show-
I got like a
Yeah.
I got like a quick email on it, and I didn't really pay attention to it. Then a friend of mine, John Gabriel, he's gonna get like about $180,000 from this program, and it's bigger than a PPP check for sure. And there's no payments, no nothing. It's basically a check that the government pays you for, and you could use it for whatever you want. You don't even have to use it to pay the employees. You could use it for anything operation.
Great. Great.
Well,
You said you got an email about that? How did you hear about this?
It was just an email from my payroll company, and just another COVID relief program, whatever.
Did you have to prove that you were down 20 or 25%?
Oh yeah. You gotta, that's why the payroll company has to, check everything, like what we were paying and my gross. So you gotta go talk with your bookkeeper, your CPA, whoever does your books, and literally say, hey, I lost whatever is the requirement. And then when you do that, they have all the formulas and stuff like that. And you can get someone else to do it or your payroll company. This guy was offering me 10% of whatever I was going to get. So if I was going to get 200,000, I'd pay him 20,000. But then my payroll company does it, and they only charge like $1,000 a quarter. So the most I'll ever pay with this guy is 6,000, which is a better way to go. But I mean, you don't have to do the work. The employee, the payroll company does.
And you don't pay if you don't get anything, right?
Yeah, what they say is, let's say this quarter I'm only going to make $500. Well, they're not going to do it for you because you lose 500. So they already know that. They're not going to charge you if you're not going to make any money during that quarter that you lost some money.
Yeah. Well,
But
the summary here, and Sal, if you can post the information, and if somebody was in fact down, I imagine the number is 20 or 25%. If you were in fact down 25% or 20% during the first months or quarters of COVID, then this probably makes sense. Hopefully, most people on the meeting here, with the exception of those living under Comrade de Blasio, didn't have much of a dent. I know that we had a lot of schools that were up 10, 20, 25% on that same period of time. So if you were, then I am absolutely fine with it. Even the loans are usually at such a low interest rate that you'd be better off to take the loan and then invest it with Peter or something than you would be to not, because the interest rates and the deferrals and so forth are so low. I personally am allergic to high rents, and I'm allergic to debt as much as possible. But something like this, if you were in fact down, again, hopefully an awful lot of you were actually up rather than down, and then that doesn't apply. There was a famous case recently of somebody who I think applied for PPP under 4 different companies and went and bought a Lamborghini and a number of other.
I heard that. Yeah.
It ended up with a 10-year jail sentence. So.
Yeah. Some guy in Florida.
Yeah, and good. I mean, they reclaimed. At least they punished those. One of the billions that was wasted through sloppiness, which is true of any government program, no matter what it is. Okay, thanks, guys. We got to run. Bob Master Smith, do you have a minute? And he's gone. Well, we'll follow up a little bit later, Bob.
Okay. All right, sir.
Okay.